So what do you think about the overall evolution of, you spoke about the evolution of hip hop,
Yeah.
you know, from it being much more political with the back in the day with the F the police, and now we have more of this over sexualized, over drug usage, kind of overly aggressive gang violence culture. Like, what's your thoughts on the evolution?
There's 5 elements of hip hop: DJing, MCing, b-boying, graffiti, and the 5th element people always forget. That's the knowledge. The knowledge was the thing that's supposed to codify everything and put integrity on it, so that if you have knowledge yourself, you're going to have rules and codes and standards. You don't bite from this guy. If you bite from somebody, you lose all your credibility.
True.
If you rap about drugs or using drugs, that was a no-no, especially in the 80s.
Right.
Crack is looked at as negative because of rappers. The only reason crack is looked at as a bad thing was rappers made it negative. Like, if you do crack, that's the dirtiest thing in the world. Now, popping Mollies and Percocets is cool because rappers made it cool. So there was a code, and because they had that knowledge, they understood what it could do to the community. Even the gangster rappers, when they rapped about gangster stuff in the 80s, they always had a consequence to the stuff they rapped about. I don't know if you know too much about West Coast rap, but you had groups like Compton's Most Wanted, MC8, he rapped about the hood took me under. He rapped about the one time gaffled him up. They talk about gangbanging, but at the end of the song, the guy died or went to jail. NWA, there were consequences in their early records. Ice-T, his records had consequences for all the gangster stuff. Now, now it's like, yeah, I'm shooting up this, I'm shooting up that, and I'm going to a party afterwards. So there's no consequence.
Or I'm gonna get a Jewish lawyer to beat the case.
Right,
for me, you know what I mean? Yeah,
right. So that's why cats out here got RICO charges. They're not rapping. Rap about them RICO charges now. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So right now there's not balance no more.
Right.
There should be a balance. I don't mind a sexy red, as long as we have a Lauryn Hill to balance her out.
I get that.
We don't have a Lauryn Hill no more. That's the problem. See, we had
We got Rap City.
but they ain't blowing her up though.
Mainstream.
Yeah, they ain't mainstreaming her. In the 90s, we had Lil' Kim and Foxy Brown. But we had
Queen
Latifah, MC Light. Remember, Lauryn Hill's the MC too.
Yeah.
We had a balance to that. We don't have all we get now is Sexy Red, Glorilla, Cardi B, Nicki Minaj, just a one-track thing, and that's because of the corporate structure. We have to stop letting the corporate structure dictate the direction of our culture. And we have to say to them, no, we want balance. We want a Rhapsody, but we have to support that though.
That's all.
You know?
So how can we have, like, I feel like every time we try to have our own record labels, like you said, there's a RICO case or something like that. There's always something to try to take away those labels from Black-owned executive. Like, what's your thoughts on that?
And this is why people on the grassroots, we have to support these Black record labels and not let them do that. Since the beginning of hip hop, they've always put federal charges on rap labels. Sugar Hill Records had federal charges on them in the 80s. Jay Prince and Rap-A-Lot. Ruthless Records had the FBI looking into them. We know what happened with Death Row. Murder Inc. They were trying to investigate Master P No Limit Records. So that's been a thing. So we have to understand that. And people also, artists who have record labels, they need to be very cognizant of this too. They can't be out there giving these people the rope to get hung with, like Puffy. Puffy shouldn't have been out there doing all that weird stuff, letting these people build up a case against him. As we saw when the chip started going down, all of a sudden they got these magic tapes that they then sat on for years, showing him beating up on folks and beating up on women. They've been had that stuff. They were just waiting on the right time. So we can't give these people the rope to hang ourselves, you know?
So in situations like Diddy and these high profile celebrities that, you know, end up going down or whatever the case is, what can we do to hold those men accountable for their actions? Like, because again, you got the white power structure, they just taking them down, and then we're on top of it, just also, you know, adding on to what they got going on. So how does the Black community hold the people like Diddy accountable or whatever the case is? Like, what does that look like?
Well, all those people that were around him. See, what I don't like are these people coming out after the fact like, yeah, I was the bodyguard and I was there and I saw this. Well, nigga, you should have said something.
Right.
You should have said something then.
Them niggas partaking.
You're partaking in it.
Right,
Don't sit up there 2 to 3 decades later talking about you saw him whooping on somebody. You should have stepped in right there. Don't sit there because you're getting paid. Say something. You check dudes on that stuff. That's what we used to do back in the day. You don't give a damn how much money you got. You doing something weird, nigga. You doing something weird. Chill out with that bullshit. You're going to make the whole hood hot doing that. You understand? So that's how them RICO charges get popping. Dudes, they're doing something weird and people are sitting back not saying nothing, and then everybody gets charged. And now everybody's looking dumb. No, you got to check that stuff with folks.
Yeah. So, you know, obviously, I think we was talking about the Young Thug case. What do you think? What do you think about court using rap lyrics in, like, you know, RICO cases or just cases in general? Do you think that should be a thing, or?
No, now some of that is very unfair. I don't like what they're doing with Young Thug and those guys because they try to do the all in thing with us. With white folks, you know, they lone wolf them. If they do something, it's like, okay, he did it on his own. They don't talk about all the other people that was working with him. But with black folks, they try to do a catch-all thing. They try to pretend everybody's in a gang. Like with Bobby Smurda, I don't like how they put him in jail by saying that he was associated with a criminal gang. They did an all-in thing on him. And that wasn't fair. So we have to check that too. A lot of that is undeserved. So what's happening down in Atlanta, that's very political. That was that prosecutor down there trying to take the heat off of some of those white officers that we were protesting against, trying to get charged for harming black people. So they let those white officers off, and then all of a sudden, hey, we got RICO charges on Young Thug, and that blows up in the media. So we got to understand when some people use smoke screens, even with R. Kelly, we're not co-signing anything R. Kelly is doing, but R. Kelly was a smoke screen. Because when the Me Too movement was going on, all of these powerful white men, people were looking at them. And then all of a sudden, R. Kelly, hey, look at R. Kelly, TV show about R. Kelly. You don't hear nothing about all these dudes. They'll do a white sacrifice, which is Harvey Weinstein. And also out here, they just dropped some charges on him. So they're trying to peel some of that stuff back to get him up out of jail. So we got to watch when they use us as smoke screens and not co-sign that either. But we're not co-signing any weird stuff from some of these dudes.
Yeah, we always been a component of having that same energy. And Gail, Oprah, I need y'all to interview the victims of Harvey Weinstein, because I was really vocal with Kels, like, you know what I mean? But we don't have that same, like, we just sweep Harvey under the rug. It's like, yeah, we get 1 or 2 cases, but then
because Oprah and Gail was up there skinning and grinning with Harvey. You understand? They were kicking it with him. There's a whole bunch of pictures them on yachts and all that stuff with all them teeth showing. But it's R. Kelly.
Why do you think it's so easy for them to use rap lyrics to go at people, but they don't use the same contradiction from other groups and organizations of people?
Because they understand now. The rappers don't understand the knowledge part. See, they tried that stuff back in the 80s and 90s, and we checked. The rap community checked them on that. The rap community fought back. When they were doing things unjust to the rap community said, okay, look, we're not going to let you throw us a bone and we go along and keep our mouths shut. Remember when they started to let rap in the Grammys, they were going to give a Grammy to Will Smith and Jazzy Jeff, but they said we're not going to televise it. So the rap community got together, in Will and those guys too, and said, hey, we're going to boycott this place. You're going to give us a Grammy, but no, we're not going to go if you're not going to treat us equally. I don't think cats would do that now. You know what I'm saying? I think cats are so scared of the industry.
The UNITY.
Right. Yeah, they don't want to. But yeah, they don't want to upset those white bosses at the record labels. Listen. Back in the 80s and 90s, especially in LA, dudes, man, the rappers would run up in record labels like it wasn't shit, with bats, guns. People think it was just Suge and those guys. It was a thing to, if they mess with your money or your publishing, them dudes will run up in a record label and kind of hem somebody up. They were not scared of them labels. Now, people do whatever the label tell them to do. Hey, put on a dress. And niggas out here putting on dresses, doing duets with Celine Dion and shit. Man. So it's weird stuff going on out here right now.
It is.